Hello everyone, my name is John, and it is wonderful to have you here with me in my library today. Today I wanted to ask the big question. The big question every reader has at least thought of once or more. A question that really defines you as a reader. Not really, I'm kidding. The question is, what is your preferred method of reading? Are you a hardcover kind of person, or are you a softcover kind of person? When it comes down to it, are you a physical book or an ebook kind of person? Or do you like audiobooks? Now, before we get started, all of these are valid ways to consume books. I make no distinction between them. There are some who have argued and argued and argued that the only way to really read a book is in the physical medium, and that if you've listened to an audiobook, you haven't read the book. That is splitting hairs to me. That doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't help anybody. If we're trying to, as long as we're trying to get into books and to read and listen more, it makes no difference. No real measurable actual difference which way you do so. So with that out of the way, I will reveal to you, as you could already be able to establish what my preferred method of reading is, and that is a hardcover book. That's not the end of the video, however. There's more to talk about. I do reach for the hardcover more often than not. I have, book buying is a different hobby than book reading, in my opinion. A book reader doesn't generally care which type of book that they're reading, but a book buyer does, and I have done both. In fact, in recent years, I've really tried to slow down the books that I'm accumulating and buying to ensure that when I do buy a book, it's something I really would like. Something I already know is something that means something to me and that I really want to have on the shelf. This shelf behind me right here is my classical literature. It starts up here with the ancients and works its way down. One of these days I will have you here for a library tour, but I can't do that too quickly. I think that's something that a lot of people would enjoy and has already been requested to me more than once. But I think that'll be one I save for just a little while longer. But in a lot of my classical literature, I go for the hardcover. Specifically, I like leather bound books. A personal favorite of mine is the Easton Press. This is Last of the Mohicans by James Fittimore Cooper in the Easton Press edition. Has the little tag right there at the bottom of the spine. I think that these books have wonderful shelf presence. I think they're beautiful. And every Easton Press book is designed a little bit differently. And they're my favorite book printing agency. Their books tend to be pricey. I do not buy them regularly. I buy them every once in a while, not all the time. But if you're looking on your secondhand markets, your eBays and Amazons and things like that, you can find things that have been out for a while marked down a good bit. $30 or so for some of these books is not terrible. Whereas I rarely to never am spending what they're charging straight up, which tends to be about $100 or more, depending on which book you're looking at. But I like the leather bound. However, I will say when it comes to different types of books, I like different styles. I don't always go for a leather bound when there's one available. Things such as this is my book Star Wars Heir to the Empire, which is part of the Thrawn trilogy that was published in the 90s that continued the Star Wars story after Episode 6. I have in this hardcover here with the dust jacket. for a lot of fiction that probably doesn't really fit into the classical literature category. A good dust jacket goes a long way to giving a book a good character. I think this book is one of them. I think you look at the artwork on the front, and it draws you in. It's very interesting. There's a lot to see, and I like a good book with good, interesting dust jacket art. It doesn't matter, never judge a book by its cover, definitely, but it doesn't hurt to have a good, solid dust jacket. I really like my dust jackets looking very nice. I tend to remove the dust jacket when I'm reading. If I take the book anywhere, if I even pull it off the shelf to read it, the dust jacket comes off and I read it without it. I put the dust jacket back on the shelf, and then when I'm done and put it back on the shelf for good, I put the dust jacket back on, is how I do it. Anyway, that being said, even though my preferred reading style of choice is a hardcover volume, I have many a softcover. They tend to be cheaper. They tend to be able to carry easier. They tend to be lighter. A lot of times, and I'd say most times, they are more pleasurable to have open on your lap and read. And I appreciate that. Now, there are two main categories of softcover books. You've got your trade paperback, which is becoming more and more popular in your bookstores today. I think that we're seeing the mass market paperback printed less and less. But you got your trade paperback. They tend to be floppy. They tend to be big and tall. They have a good shelf presence. They look a lot like your hardcovers if you're not really looking. But they lay flat. They're typically well printed. This is a copy of The Rise of Rome by Anthony Everett, which is a popular history of the early Roman Republic history, and a very, very good book. But it tends to be big. It tends to have a good flex to it, and it's probably the best way to enjoy reading a book is in a nice trade paperback because of how easily it folds open. However, you've also got a mass market paperback. Now, mass market paperbacks go for pretty cheap. They're wonderful for reading on a budget. I may have paid, this says $6.99. I probably paid $6.99 for this. This is All Quiet on the Western Front. These are short, they're blocky. They often have issues cracking on the spines, whereas I think the trade paperbacks have eliminated a lot of this. It's not to say that they can't crack on the spine, but everybody's seen a old romance or Western trade mass market paperback, and eventually the creases are such that you can hardly read what the title is on the spine. They say there's a way to go ahead and prep your spine for reading one of these, and that you kind of gotta bend the pages back one at a time, and it kind of can stretch the spine enough to be able to take it a little better. But these are normally once or twice and done kind of books. They're not intended to be able to hold up to a lot of pressure. You may get one or two good reads out of this, and then it's going to fall apart. Oftentimes, pages will fall out, and it just doesn't hold up over time like the other types of books I've shown you. And of course, you get more if you're carrying it around. You get more bends and dings on a soft cover than you do a hardcover book as well. So I go for a trade paperback over a mass market paperback generally. If I'm going to buy a cheap book, I generally will start by looking on Kindle before I pick up a physical mass market paperback. Speaking of ebooks and Kindle, I own a Kindle. I own a Kindle Scribe. I've owned it for a couple of years. I've enjoyed having it. I own many books on here. In fact, my favorite thing about owning a Kindle is the ability to have massive collections of complete works that I can access anytime, that I don't require the shelf space for. The books I recommend most are a line of ebook publishing called the Delphi Classics. They work really hard to publish complete works of different authors. So instead of just picking up a classic here or there, you're having these massive collections from each of these authors. They tend to go for about $2.99 a piece, and they're under the Delphi Classics. But I mean, they do an excellent job of compiling biographical data and every scrap of writing that some of these public domain authors have ever done. And it's wonderful to have it all in one place. St. Augustine, for example, I don't have him up here. He must be on another shelf. But I have the Confessions of St. Augustine. And it's a wonderful book, and I've enjoyed having it on my shelf. But when it comes to the rest of his writings, The City of God and other writings, a lot of times these take up many volumes. There's a lot to it, and it's wonderful to be able to have that on my Kindle, to be able to read anytime. It doesn't really take up the shelf space that I have here. In fact, I've been blessed with how much space I have to be able to display as many books as I own. But there are many who don't have that, and so this is a wonderful, wonderful alternative to be able to have thousands of books in the palm of your hand. Generations and generations before us could never have dreamed that we could have something so interesting as this. Now, audiobooks. I am a big listener of audiobooks. Again, I make no distinction between audio and physical books. I have no interest or time to distinguish between the two. You're a reader either way. I listen to a lot of ebooks, especially while I'm on the road. I do house calls and house visits, and so I have a lot of time to listen to these books as I go. My preferred method of reading is actually where I am listening to an audiobook while I'm reading the text. That's what they call, what some smart people call immersive reading. As I've gotten older, I don't really know why, but as I've gotten older, I've actually found it harder and harder to concentrate on a page like I used to. I find myself getting distracted and wanting to get up, move around, and have the freedom to kind of read as I go. And so listening via an audiobook and reading allows me to do that. It allows me to get up and walk around when I want to stretch my legs, and then sit back down and continue reading that way. It helps keep my pace up. I don't get stuck on a sentence or a word, and I just can't keep moving. And so it kind of keeps me well paced as I am reading a book. The way I discovered to do that was when I was a freshman in college. I was assigned Dracula, which is a great book to read. But I had let it sneak up on me. I hadn't been keeping an eye on the calendar, and I realized I only had a day or so left to be able to read that book before it was due. I was going to be tested on it, and so I had a whole day to do it. I really did. And so I put in my earbuds and had my paperback in front of me, and between reading without the audiobook and reading with the audiobook and just listening, I was able to get through the whole thing in about 12 hours and was good to go. So since then, that's kind of what I've been doing. That's my preferred method of reading. Now, how about you guys? I'm sure you have your own opinions as to what the best way is to read, or what your favorite is, I should say. And I would love for you to let me know in the comments down below. I always appreciate you all for watching. I really appreciate subscriptions and likes. Those are very encouraging to me as I'm starting on this journey. So I always love it when you're able to do that for me. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for being here. And I hope to see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.